Okay.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing really well. So when I started this group, I asked you guys what were some of the barriers you were facing, that were stopping you from securing a job in the UK. And some of you mentioned that you were having trouble making your application stand out. So today we're going to be focusing on solving that issue. And I've got Bianca with us, lovely Bianca, who's going to be helping us do just that. So thank you so much, Bianca, for joining us and agreeing to do this video. It's going to be so helpful for many of us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Bianca Prano. So I'm the founder of Prano Careers. So it's a career consultancy supporting international students in the UK and overseas foreign nationals who are looking for jobs in the UK. So focusing on kind of job preparation services, so like CV, cover letters, all the things people struggle with job search strategy as well. So finding the most suitable roles. So that's basically what I do, and yeah, love it.
Amazing, thank you for that. We're glad to have you here, and thank you for that lovely introduction. So let me just give you guys a brief on what's going to happen in the video. I'm going to be asking Bianca some questions surrounding CVs, cover letters, interviews, and she's going to be giving us her advice and suggestions on how we can improve those three things, and also just some general and advice on how to make our application stand out. So just when you're ready, I'll start with the first question, Bianca.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first question is, what are the three key differences between UK CVs and normal CVs?
Yeah, so I guess, it depends what we mean by normal CVs, I guess, because it's all kind of culturally relative, and, in different countries, the format and the layout, as you know, it can be very different. So the unique thing about the UK CV, I think, is there are clear sections that are expected from employers and recruiters when you submit a UK CV. So being aware of what sections that you have to include, and then meeting those expectations is really crucial. And things like personal details is very minimal as well. So it's just your contact details, so email, phone number, address, or just the city can be enough, and your name. Whereas I know in other countries you put your nationality, marital status, age, date of birth. So those things would see your CV get completely disregarded in the UK. So being aware of those things, and there's a really unique thing about UK CVs with the personal profile or professional profile, which comes after the personal details. And this is really the only space you have on your CV that I think you can personalize it. So it's to give some context as well to your situation. And this can be particularly important if you are applying from outside the UK. So getting in there, why you want a job in the UK, what kind of jobs you're applying for, and what is the overview of your skills, experience, and knowledge. And it's a really, it can either really engage the reader and entice them to read on through the rest of your CV, or put them off if it's very generic and there's cliches in there and commonly used phrases. So the professional profile is a unique thing for UK CVs. And I think the other thing is, in some cultures, it's less individualistic. So in the UK, it's a very individualistic culture. So your CV is very much about you and what you've done. And, in your experience section, quantifying the impact that you've had in each of your experiences, in those bullet points, and really getting across, the impact that you've had. And it's very much about you in that sense. Obviously, there has to be an element of that you can work as part of a team, but they are quite individualistic in that sense, and that's a bit of can be a cultural difference compared to other CVs from other countries.
Oh, thank you. I never realized that, I never looked at it like that, the individualistic culture and collectivistic culture, even though a lot of us are very aware of that fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very, insightful. Well, thank you. Second question is, what are the key things to add in your UK cover letter?
Yeah, so cover letters are, I think the things to focus on in cover letters is really about tailoring it to the organization that you're applying for. So it takes a bit of work, but going beyond the job advert and looking at what the organization have said about them on their website, on their social media platforms, on their LinkedIn page, and pulling out elements that genuinely draw you to their company. You're not going to be able to include everything about them, and they don't expect you to be an expert on the ins and outs of their company culture and so on. But I think going beyond the job ad and doing your research on the organization and incorporating that into each of your 4 paragraphs that you have on your cover letter right from the get-go, and also really communicating that you understand the nature of the job or the internship or whatever it is you're applying for. So this is where a lot of people can fall down on, where they've talked about the organization, but they've overlooked that the understanding of what is required of the job, so the expectations, the nature of the role, and even some of the challenges that they feel they might face in the role. So the best cover letters that I've seen are the ones that are written like the person is doing the job already, so they're like visualizing themselves doing it, and they give that insight into that they really get what the role is about, how it fits into the the wider business objectives, who they might be working alongside. So those things are really crucial. And again, getting across how your skills or knowledge or experience are all relevant to the role, and really tying that in again into every paragraph. Every second or third sentence should really be that you've picked out those buzzwords and the key skills from the advert about the job, and you're really relating that to your skills, and again almost like envisioning how you would do the job based on your skills and your experience.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add that a lot of companies make it optional to add a cover letter, but I know it's something that definitely should be submitted with the application, because I think it's a very you're at a disadvantage if you're not doing that. Okay, thank you. And the third question is, tell me 2 tips on how I can prepare, everyone can prepare for a UK interview, and what are some things that we shouldn't do in a UK interview?
Very, very good questions. Yeah. So I'll start with the positives. So the how to prepare. So yeah, I always think fail to prepare, prepare to fail, almost, with an interview. You've got to remember that, okay, they've given you the interview now because they believe that you could do the job. So now it's your opportunity to really prove that you can do the job. Okay, so nerves are normal. It's fine to be nervous. It's actually quite good sometimes to have that adrenaline. In terms of preparation, so this is what's worked for myself in the past and for clients who've been successful, is to research the organization again about the types of interviews that they conduct. So they might have already tell you in an email invitation, okay, it's going to be a competency-based interview, or this is the format. So you do get an idea. You might have to do a presentation, so you have to prepare for that. But looking on like glassdoor.co.uk, so they have a section on their website where you can look at people who've had interviews in previous companies, and you can see the types of questions that they've been asked. So bear in mind, not everyone might have had a positive experience with companies. So try not to look at what their opinions have been, but just look at the types of questions that people have been asked. So you can make a note of those and then include those in a preparation document where you have researched lots of different types of questions, ideally based on the skills required for the role. So they'll tell you what skills or competencies or behaviors they're looking for, and then do some research, get some competency-based questions, situational, open-ended questions, all different types, write down answers for them. And then the cringe part is where you sit and actually record yourself and answer those questions, watch it back so you can identify what filler words that you're using too much, or I say quite a lot, and body language as well. So if it's a virtual interview, there's different things with face to face, and there's different things to be aware of, and body language is quite significant. So yeah, literally sitting down, writing answers to questions, recording yourself is really crucial, and doing a bit of a mind map of yourself, so knowing yourself and then knowing the organization, and that's quite key. So mind map, doing a kind of mind map of your experience, your skills, your career ambitions, just to do that reflection exercise is really valuable. So when they ask you about that question, tell us about yourself, you're really prepared for that, because you know yourself, you've reflected on why you're applying for that job. And so yeah, those are kind of two ways to prepare that I think are normally pretty successful. And looking on YouTube as well, so there's lots of advice on YouTube about company specific interviews, as well as other people providing their experiences, and of course LinkedIn as well, hashtag interview or interview tips, or you'll get lots of information there. So yeah, hearing about other people's experiences can be quite powerful, I think. Like those anecdotal pieces are really inspirational, I think, a lot of the time. Yeah.
Thank you. Some very good. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, and the don't do's as well. I was going to cover that.
Yes.
The things not to do, I think. You asked for two things, right? The two things I'd say is not to ask questions. So when you're given the opportunity at the end of an interview to ask a question, always ask a question. So you should really go in with minimal, 2 to 3 questions prepared, and ask those questions. If they have answered them throughout the interview already, then still ask them, but ask them in a slightly different way, or ask them to elaborate on them. So the most sophisticated interview skills is when you turn a question into a conversation. So you want to find common ground with the interviewer, so being quite strategic and smart with the kind of questions that you ask, but also that there are genuinely questions that you want to know about the company or the role. Not asking questions about salary or holidays or when will I hear back, or those kind of questions doesn't show that you're really interested in the role or the company, and so that you're more interested in the outcome, which of course that you are naturally, but you don't want them to think that. And the other thing is elaborating on your answers. So even if they ask a yes no question, always extending your answer. And this is something that I do with one of my associates, Cheryl Oval, a cross-cultural trainer. So we do interview etiquette webinars where she covers this in a lot more detail, and it's basically about how to not sound like a robot and extend your answers, and again turning it almost into a conversation with the interviewer, and that's really beneficial for you.
Thank you. Just let me add that I've attended that session, the webinar, and it's absolutely amazing. So I think everyone should definitely attend one of those sessions. It's very, very insightful. I've never, attended a session like that. So thank you so much for, organizing that I think you do it every week, or is it every fortnight that you do it?
Every month, yeah. So every month we do it. So yeah, so we might put a hold on it over the summer, but we recorded them and they're available. There's a link on my website to the recording as well, so people can go on and see that. But the live one's quite good because you can ask questions and it's always more interactive. Yeah, I'm glad you found it helpful.
Thank you. It was very helpful. Okay, so now I'm gonna ask a different set of questions. It's going to be hypothetical questions. So I'm going to give Bianca some, hypothetical situations that some graduates or applicants are in. And I feel like a lot of us have probably been in these situations. So she can tell us like how to, solve the situation or just how to improve it. So my first situation is there's a girl, Arya, who has been asked to tailor her CV according to the UK and the role. She doesn't know how to tailor her CV, and she doesn't know anything about how to tailor her CV according to the UK. So where should she start editing? What all changes will she need to make? Does she need to remove something? And it needs to be one page. So how's she going to do it?
Yeah, so I guess it depends where she's from and what her CV is like in the original, format. But I think, making sure that she has those sections that are expected from the UK. So understanding what to put where is quite important. And then for the general layout, so Arial font, no larger than size 12. Those kind of very basic kind of layout requirements that they have in the UK, and if she needs to get it down to one page, depending on how many pages it is, then being very focused on tailoring it to the role. So I would still suggest putting in a professional profile, because that's where again she can personalize it the most and get include there what company she's applying for and why she's applying for that role. So that's tailoring your from the very beginning. And again, getting the buzzwords in. So from the job advert, so looking at the skills that they have listed in the essential and desirable criteria, and making sure that in her experience section that she's got those throughout the bullet points. So they are incorporated, and she's demonstrating where she's actually used those skills and that knowledge as well in other experiences. So tailoring it in the experience section and the professional summary section. And then also, bridging your skills or knowledge gaps is quite crucial, especially maybe for overseas applicants and looking to get a foot in the UK labour market. If there's anything that you're missing, that you're seeing again in the job adverts that you're looking at and the jobs you want to apply for, then researching or exploring how you could bridge those through volunteering or online courses, or any way that you could start to close that gap. And then having that on your CV could be enough to get you an interview. And it's worked for me in the past, it's worked for other people. So that's quite a crucial element for getting that foot in the door as well.
Thank you. Okay, so the second situation is a company has asked Maria to answer the following question in her cover letter. What unique skills can you bring to the company? And now Maria is thinking that she can use her diverse background as an advantage. So what kind of skills do you think she can offer them by being an international applicant? Because that country might, culturally, they'll have a lot of differences. So she'll be able to bring, this fresh set of skills maybe. So what would those skills be?
Yeah, it's a good, really good question. I guess it would lie in, what her industry experience has been, and if she's got specific technical skills, and then there's the, the softer skills like communication, teamwork, and so on. But for international applicants, they always, well, not always, but a lot of the time they overlook that, the value that they can bring as an international applicant in terms of communication skills, for example. So communication skills is quite a generic term. So for international applicants, that could mean that they can communicate in 3 or 4 languages, that they've worked in, highly multicultural teams, and that they do have a very global outlook, and this then makes them quite adaptable and able to work in very diverse teams. So it's not just communication skills, it's how your international experience and being from a diverse background then makes your communication skills unique. But then also making sure that you're relating that to the jobs that you're applying for. So if you're going to say that you can communicate in different languages and you can work in diverse teams and adapt your communication style, then you need to say, this will help me in this job because, or when I'm required to work with clients from different backgrounds. So yeah, it's going a bit deeper to, okay, so you list your skills. So, you know, Maria might say communication skills, teamwork, problem solving are her top skills, but then going that layer deeper about, okay, how are her problem skills, how have they been impacted and how have they developed through her diverse background and her, you know, being an international, then wanting to go to the UK. So that, you know, again, that reflection is really crucial. And, you know, if you do that for your CV cover letter, it's going to help you then for the interview when you need to elaborate on these things. So it's a really pertinent process, you know, to go through that and really understand, yeah, what does make you unique. Because a lot of international applicants are now putting on their CVs, I've got cultural awareness, and my diverse background will help me in this role. So I'm seeing that a lot, but it's not enough now to just say that. It's, you know, the job market's more competitive. So again, you need to go that extra step deeper and say, you know, how is that unique? How are you still unique even as an international applicant?
Yeah. I do find it challenging sometimes because there are so many general things that you can add, but how can you make it specific to yourself? Like by adding those examples and choosing the right, you know, example, that can always be very challenging.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And it's just knowing yourself, and you know, sometimes it's having, you know, that kind of conversation with someone else, like it could be a professional or a mentor, and they pull, you know, they pull that information out of you and they really help you to understand yourself and what you have to offer as an employee. It can be hard to do it to ourselves a lot of the time.
No, I totally agree. I think I have this story. I remember I was writing, I was answering some questions on a cover letter, and I was just speaking to my sister, and she knew a lot about my history of qualifications and everything. And she told me that I had added all the like irrelevant things. Like there were so many relevant things that she knew about me that were suited to the role, and I had not added any of those. So, you know, I think it's because sometimes we are so nervous and unsure of what to add that another person has a better view of like, you know, an outside view of what to do. And what better, like who is a better person than like a careers counselor, you know, who has a very good idea of what to add to a CV. Okay, so my last scenario is Samir is in an interview. He is doing really well, but then the interviewer asks him a question he doesn't quite understand. His first language is not English. The interview is being conducted in English. And he's afraid if he asks the interviewer to repeat the question, he might be seen as incompetent. So what should he do?
Well, I would say it's always better to repeat the question than answer a wrong question. So I think there's nothing wrong with asking, oh, sorry, could you repeat that? Or can I just clarify, is this what you asked? So making sure that you're also asking them to repeat it in a way that is appropriate as well. And yeah, definitely asking them to repeat it. And sometimes it's, especially with foreign nationals, and I've experienced this when I've done mock interviews as well, they think their English is not very good and not at a certain level, but that's what they feel themselves, and the chances are that the interviewer or the person on the other end is not thinking that, because you know I've met lots of international students, for example, when I worked at a university, and when they came in for mock interviews they were like, oh, my language is the main thing I'm worried about, but they were doing a degree in Scotland, you know, they'd met the IELTS requirements, their English was good enough to do a degree, but when it came to an interview, they doubted themselves almost. And I think, yeah, like I said, I think it's a lot what they feel about themselves, and it's okay, it's absolutely okay to ask an interviewer to repeat a question. It's better that you do that than, you know, misunderstand and answer it wrong. And yeah, it shows that you're being honest and very genuine, that you don't, I mean, even as a native English speaker, I've had to ask interviewers to repeat questions before. I haven't understood the questions. And sometimes it can be the interviewers as well and the way the question's asked. it's not always the interviewee. It can actually be on the other side that it's a bit confusing. So yeah, it always just, and I think the way that you've asked, so you know, in the UK they always like to apologize before they ask a question, so saying, oh, sorry, can you repeat that, or you know, that's just a good way to ask.
Yeah, I think that's I think a lot of people, like especially in India, we don't apologize as much. Like we won't say, you know, just because we think that it's not needed or it's unnecessary. I'm not going to speak for everyone because I'm sure like in different parts of India it's different. But yeah, where I have grown up, we don't really apologize that much. And when I went to the UK, I just got into the habit of saying, you know, I'm sorry so much and please and thank you. And when I come back here, then you know, I have to go back, because saying thank you and please is considered like, why are you saying that? You know, in India where I live. So yeah, it's challenging for people from different cultures to go to the UK, which is very different. Okay, so that was my last question. Now I just was wondering if you'd want to share a little bit about Prano Careers and what kind of services you offer on the website, because that I know you work with individual clients to help them make their application stand out. So yeah, just tell me.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so like I said, I support international students who are already in the UK, who are looking for, it could be for internships, placements, or graduate jobs. So really, again, the job preparation services, so the CV, cover letter, and it could also be personal statements for masters or MBA programs as well, is something that I support with. And mock interviews is also something that I do, and that can be for, again, any type of opportunity. So I also help, like I said, overseas foreign nationals, predominantly in India. So they're all over India and looking to get into the UK through the skilled worker visa route. So it's important that they are very serious about coming to the UK, and that they meet the eligibility for the skilled worker visa in order for me to help them. But again, understand, for them, a lot of it is understanding the UK CV in a very, changing their Indian resumes to the UK CV format, the cover letter, which they might not have. I know in India it's not very common to have cover letters for job applications. So that kind of is from scratch. And then, where to look for jobs, because they might not have any knowledge about the UK labour market. And, being aware of where the demand is as well. So obviously there's certain industries and occupations that are you're more likely to get a job in than others. So yeah, and I also help other people in the UK who are foreign nationals who maybe need to apply for another job and switch their visa. So yeah, a very diverse client group, and it's been wonderful for me to develop that knowledge about the real different cultural approaches to careers, and how these things do come through in your CV. They really do. The wording, use of English, how people view themselves as a professional, it all filters through into applications. And it's where some very well established professionals, highly educated, can fall down on, just not having the documents in the right format. So yeah, it's like I said, I enjoy it, and people feel very appreciative for the help and support. But there's there's information about the services, and all the pricings and everything are on my website, so prano.co.uk. And I would really appreciate if people could complete the survey that I formulated recently. So I think you're going to include the link.
Yes, I'm going to include one.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. It's very short, so it's not a really long survey. And if anyone's looking for a job in the UK, they can subscribe to my weekly newsletter. So that has various opportunities for students, and also, again, for jobs where the employers are offering visa sponsorship through the skilled worker route at the moment. they're few and far between with the way the UK is at the moment, with COVID and Brexit. It's become more competitive, but there are still jobs with visa sponsorship, and I do that research for everyone, and I find them and I include them in the newsletter. So yeah.
Yes, and thank you so much for doing that. I just want to very quickly mention that the emails that Bianca sends, she has all these like jobs for different sectors, and I am a marketing student and I'm looking for full-time marketing roles, and she sent all of us this job listing for University of Reading, and I applied to it, and fortunately I've got the interview.
Yeah.
I've been called for an interview, so it's all thanks to Bianca that she's even sent me that email, and I saw the job and I applied for it. So yeah, do sign up for that subscription, because it's so useful. Sometimes we don't have the time to search for jobs. Sometimes we can't find relevant jobs. So it's super helpful. Yeah.
And we can include the link as well below this video if you want.
Yeah, I'll include the link to the survey and the subscription, and also to your website. I'll do that.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions. It's been great, and I think it's going to be so helpful for everyone to boost their CVs and applications. So thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much.